What's going on, everybody? Teej back again with another video, and today we're talking about my playoff and Super Bowl predictions. Obviously an exciting time of the year, and also with that, a ton of content coming on the channel this week. I have a reaction mock draft planned, mock draft of my own, starting a new series over the weekend, so hopefully you're excited for all the content I'm going to be pushing out over the next week, and then all the way up through beyond the NFL draft. So subscribe to the channel if you're new. Seriously, it would help me out a ton. And, you know, the reason why I made this channel is because I love talking football with people. So let me hear your thoughts. Like, who do you have coming away with the Lombardi at the end of the year? What upset picks might be in play? Or if your team's not in the postseason, what are some of the things you're hoping to see get done this offseason? I responded to just about every comment. So let's talk about this postseason, the offseason, football in general. I'd love to be able to talk about it with you down below in the comment section. Like if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe if you're new. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we start with the wild card round, and you know, a lot of really interesting matchups in here. Obviously, let's start with the AFC side. Jags Chargers, a rematch of what we saw during the regular season. I think that game is drastically different now versus then. That was week 3. It was the first game, you know, post broken ribs for Justin Herbert. The Jags got out to a really hot start, and the Jags are playing good football as of right now too. So I don't want to discredit that. But that being said, I'm going to go take the Chargers to get the job done on the road. Yeah, like I said, Jacksonville's been playing good. And, you know, on Saturday night, we saw what the home field advantage could potentially be there. But I'll take Justin Herbert right now over Trevor Lawrence. I also think Mike Williams ultimately is going to be fine. Keenan Allen, I think there's a little bit more firepower there on that side of the ball. And plus, you know, the Chargers pass rush for the most part has been pretty solid. And the Jags offensive line always kind of gives me worries. So I'll take the Chargers to get the win on the road. Plus, that'd be a huge step in the right direction for Brandon Staley. And that would increase his job security tenfold. Now we talk about Ravens-Bills. You know, I know Lamar Jackson's coming back and things might be looking up for the... Hold on, now that I'm looking at this, the Bills are definitely the 2 seed. What's going on here? Playoff predictors, you're letting me down here. Okay, sorry, that was super weird. I don't know what that was all about. I just had to update this, and now we're all good to go. So, like I said, taking the Chargers over the Jags there. Now we can talk Ravens-Bengals here. So, second time these two teams have gone juxtaposed in as many weeks, and it's tough to beat a team 2 times in a row, and now the Ravens are going to get Lamar Jackson back, but I still think the Bengals are the better squad here, and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, like that's the ultimate trump card to me. Throw in a T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I just think that passing attack can win a game at any moment, and then you look at the Ravens on their side, and like that passing attack, even if you get Lamar Jackson back and he's better than a Tyler Huntley or an Anthony Brown, the lack of wide receiver talent is going to make it hard. Now this becomes this ultra war of attrition, this 17-14 game. Yeah, sure, maybe the run game for Baltimore will be enough, and that defense is going to have to really put together a strong showing. I'm just not entirely sure that Cincy can, Baltimore can manipulate the game script into that type of contest. So I'm going to take the Bengals plus Lou Anarumo, even if it does become that. He's been such a good DC. I think he's so adaptable, and he's so good at making those mid-game adjustments as well. So no matter what game or what direction this game goes, I feel confident in the Bengals defense being able to make some necessary tweaks if needed, of course. And then we get Dolphins-Bills, and I won't belabor on this point too much, but yeah, I think this is a Bills win, especially if it's Skylar Thompson. If it's Skylar Thompson, then yeah, definitely give me the Bills. But even if it's Teddy Bridgewater, you know, it goes from... With Skylar Thompson, I just really can't see a path forward in which the Dolphins win. You know, anything's possible in the playoffs, but I just don't see it happening. But with Teddy Bridgewater, while it's still unlikely, you could talk me into a world where it's like, hey, Josh Allen throws a couple of interceptions, Teddy Bridgewater, so he gets that high average depth of target. This offense is really good at engineering. Waddle got behind somebody, Hill got behind somebody, they got some big plays, something like that. You could talk me into this, you know, 1 in 10 type of scenario where Teddy Bridgewater goes into Buffalo and steals a win. But yeah, I can't put house money or any sort of major prediction on the line there. And you know, spoiler alert, I think we're going to see Bills Chiefs here, not too far down the line here. To me, they're the best teams in the AFC. So if this was Tua, maybe this game, you know, maybe the Dolphins can get it done. It certainly makes it more likely, but I think the Bills are the better team. And plus, they're riding an emotional high right now. I can't see them falling short in the first round. Switching sides now, let's talk NFC playoff picture. Man, Bucks Cowboys. Dallas is coming to the postseason with their ugliest game of the season in the rearview mirror, and it's so hard when that last game was so bad that's the last taste in your mouth, right? Meanwhile, Tampa, it was the Falcons, sure, but when Tom Brady was playing, they were beating the Falcons, which is something worth noting considering they lost that game by 13 points. Not a good look for Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask, I guess. But that said, the Falcons aren't that impressive, and there's still those self-inflicted wounds, right? The penalties, the fumble by Chris Godwin. This team just knows how to shoot itself in the foot. I think I got to go with Dallas here. If for no other reason than I think that pass rush will put the Bucs offensive line in a tough spot. And I think you'll see a ton of holding penalties. And Tampa Bay may be able to generate a couple of big plays, but I could also see a world where those big plays are immediately negated by a major penalty. So yeah, I think I got to roll with Dallas here. And in reality, there's really not much worse they could do than what they did last week against Washington. So really, there's only one way that this team can move forward, and that's up. That being said, if Tampa Bay knocks off Dallas, how quick do we get an announcement that Sean Payton's the next head coach of the Cowboys? That is something I'm very curious in. So part of me is kind of rooting for Tampa Bay to win this game, but I do think Dallas is the better squad. That pass rush, that defense is so suffocating, and I think we'll continue to see those self-inflicted wounds. Really, the question is what does this Dallas offense look like? They had a really hard time running the ball. That Tampa Bay run defense, it varies week to week, but it has what it takes to be a pretty solid run defense unit. And also Dak just did not look sharp. Kellen Moore, I think, worst OC job or worst week of play calling that he's had as the OC for Dallas. And I mean, it was midway through the second quarter before CeeDee Lamb saw his first target. That can't happen in this type of game. So interesting to see what that Dallas offense looks like, but I do trust that defense, and I think we'll see more of those self-inflicted wounds from Tampa. Next up, Giants-Vikings. Oh, man, these two teams played a really awesome regular season game. It was one that I was like, hey, this is going to be a 3-point game one way or another. The Giants, for the matter of fact, basically didn't play last week. Battled enough with the Eagles, but no significant players for this Giants run were in that game. So essentially a week off, and now they get to take on Minnesota, who did play last week with the majority of their starters playing, at least for the first half, and then some time into the second half. At home, I think I'll take Minnesota. They've been really good at home this year. The lone loss that comes to mind is of course, the Dallas Cowboys game. And I just can't see this team getting bounced in the first round by the Giants, right? Like, if this were Dallas, sure, I'd be interested. Even if this was Seattle, maybe I could be entertained by it. Really, I think the lack of wide receiver talent, this kind of, it's unfortunate the Giants don't have a number one, because that secondary in Minnesota is ripe to be picked apart, right? So if they had a number one dude, and that's where it's like, if this was Seattle, I could see DK Metcalf having a day, and that keeps Seattle around. I think Richie James is going to be interesting from a bet perspective, because, the Vikings really struggle covering the slot. So I could see him having a pretty solid day, and Isaiah Hodgins has been nice over the last couple of weeks. But when you consider the talent on the outside, Justin Jefferson leaps and bounds over anyone else that the Giants could potentially stack up against them, just comparing wide receivers. Do potentially have Adoree Jackson coming back in this game. So Adoree Jackson is the number one CB versus Justin Jefferson. Could be an interesting matchup, but JJ props, if they're reasonably priced, I think are the way to go in this one. I just think the Vikings are a better team. Even with their defensive struggles, I think they'll be able to make enough plays, generate some turnovers, maybe get a little bit of pressure against Daniel Jones, and come away with a home win there. So that would go a long way for Kevin O'Connell, kind of solidifying what his first year has been. And then we get 49ers Seahawks. It's tough to beat a team 3 times in a year, but I do think San Francisco will get that job done. So I just, the 49ers run game is such a brutal matchup for Seattle. And for a team other than the Jets game that has really done a pretty porous job of being able to slow down, opposing run games. So I think this is heavy CMC, and especially now that Elijah Mitchell's healthy, they have that 1-2 punch working at a high level. It looked good against Arizona. I think you'll see more of the same here. And then the play action game off of that, I think it was George Kittle against Seattle who had 2 touchdowns last time these two teams met. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar. Actually, if memory serves, it was 27-13, that final score, that Thursday night game. And all the offense for San Francisco came in the first half. I would venture to say Kyle Shanahan's probably not taking his foot off the gas. And actually, looking at the screen now, how interesting is this symmetry? I got the 5 seed coming away with the upset against the 4 seed on both sides, and then home field advantage with the 3 and the 2 seed coming away with the win. So didn't mean for those to mirror each other, but that is just the way it worked out, I suppose. Now let's move on to the divisional round. Man, this is when things get hot. Let's start with the AFC side again. Bills, Bengals. I mean, the Monday Night Football game that we were all so hyped to see Didn't get to see it completed because of the Damar Hamlin situation, which, by the way, he's released from the hospital the day I'm recording this. How awesome is that? Anyways, man, the Bills are just such a good team. But that said, the secondary depth has really been tested. They've been able to hold their own. And that Bengals passing attack, man, it is hard to count them out. This is a game where you really want to have Von Miller out there if you're the Bills, right? Like, just get maybe a couple snaps where he disrupts Burrow enough. You generate a turnover, you get a sack and a drive early. And still, I do worry about the turnovers for Josh Allen. I'm still going to take the Bills. Again, part of it's the emotional aspect to this, but I'll take Josh Allen any day of the week against just about anybody other than maybe Patrick Mahomes. But, I'm a huge Josh Allen guy, so take that for what it is. Really, I think the question in this game is, like, if the Bengals can stymie Stephon Diggs enough, is Gabe Davis able to do anything over the top, or can Isaiah McKenzie or Khalil Shakir make an impact out of the slot? Can John Brown get behind the defense like he did this past weekend? Like, they're going to need some tertiary receivers to make a big impact. Maybe it's Dawson Knox, right? Like, maybe it's something other than a wide receiver, making that big impact to try to open up Stephon Diggs. I'll take the Bills just because year long I think they've been the slightly better team, and they'll be at home. Depending on the wins here, that could be a huge impact. Burrow is very, very good, but his arm strength is not how he wins games. So if we get something where it's like 25, 30 mile an hour wins, I'm definitely feeling good about the Bills. And that being said, Josh Allen's rushing ability, they're not going to keep him, chained back here in the postseason. Now it's win or go home time. So his running ability, I think, does play a big impact in this type of a matchup. It's a little bit of an edge that leads me towards taking the Bills here. And then we get Chargers Chiefs. I mean, how awesome would that AFC slate be? I'll take the Chiefs here. I think preseason I took the Chargers in an upset here. Actually, I think I had the Chargers winning the AFC West in memory serves. So I think it was 1-5 the other way around. I had the Chargers coming away with the win. But Kansas City at home, I mean, that's a tough place to go and play. And as much as Derwin James kind of figures to be a really good Travis Kelce stopper, it's not always that simple, right? It's not just, hey, this guy has the skill set to stop Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is just kind of a stud. I mean, he's the best tight end in football right now. For good reason. So that on top of what they've been able to get out of Jerick McKinnon as a pass catcher, I think there's just too many too many weapons really at Kansas City's disposal for a LA defense that has been hit or miss at best to describe them. Also, it's a team that's really struggled to stop the run. Isaiah Pacheco averaging almost 5 yards per carry. I think Jerick McKinnon's still an efficient runner, despite a lot of his production coming through the air. So I think this is a game where the Chiefs probably in their first two drives really established on the ground, and then the passing game opens up beyond that. The question really is going to be, can Justin Herbert and the Chargers be able to match? That being said, we have not been able to see the Chargers offense at full strength against Kansas City, because even when the teams met a second time, Mike Williams did start, but they got hurt after his first catch. So we have not seen the Chargers take on the Chiefs with their full offensive arsenal on the field. So I'm taking the Chiefs here, but man, I'm hoping this is a fight. I hope Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes go toe-to-toe and blow for blow. I hope Keenan Allen, Mike Williams are able to match the production that you get from, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, all those guys for Kansas City. They have so many different weapons. So I'm hoping this game stays close. But right now, I'm going to take the older brother, if you will, in this AFC West matchup, and that sets up an awesome AFC championship round. Now we get to the NFC side. Vikings, 49ers. I'll take the 49ers there at Levi Stadium as well, which certainly could be an impact in this one. I also just think the 49ers defense is a force to be reckoned with, and I didn't even hit on this in the wild card round. This could be a potential problem for Minnesota, even though I do think they're the better team than the Giants. The Giants blitz a ton, and it doesn't sound like Brian O'Neill's going to be able to play this weekend, and missing one of your best offensive linemen against a team that blitzes a lot is not ideal. And if Brian O'Neill misses this game, expect to see Nick Bosa lining up over the right tackle, whoever is starting in his place, pretty much the entire way through. But, I mean, that's a pass rush that, at its best, whether it's interior or on the edge, it causes havoc. And this is a Minnesota interior offensive line that I still don't think is very good. Kirk Cousins still struggles against pressure. It's been better this year, but it's still not his calling card. And as good as Justin Jefferson is, I think there's only so much you can do. Then on the other side, that Vikings defense, it's rough, to say the least. I don't want to say rough all the time, but more often than not, it's a disappointing unit to watch. And Kyle Shanahan schemes it up with the best of them, right? And you'll have Deebo Samuel coming back. You have George Kittle. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have Elijah Mitchell. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have all these weapons. Brock Purdy's still playing good. Maybe we see the switch to Jimmy Garoppolo, but right now I think Brock Purdy's at least running the offense at a Jimmy Garoppolo status quo, and I don't see the need to take out something that's working, right? Like I think this is a true Brady Bledsoe type of situation where it's like, hey, stick with the hot hand, and right now that's Brock Purdy. So I think San Francisco gets the job done at home. Then we get Eagles and Cowboys. I mean, what a game this was just a couple weeks ago, but that was with Gardner Minshew. And man, this really tests my theory. And if this does end up coming true, you'll see something on the channel, me predicting this. Basically, all year long, just in case you're new to the channel, I've been saying, hey, the Eagles are going to be this 13, 14 win team. And that's exactly what they were. I think I had them at 13-4. Coming away as the 1 seed, maybe not. But that said, I predict them to be this awesome regular season juggernaut, but then lose in the first round. Now push comes to shove. Do I think they lose in their first playoff game? Man, it really sucks considering the last thing I saw was Dallas's worst game of the year. Jalen Hurts looked a little rusty, though. Man, this is tough. This could go 1,000 different ways. If Lane Johnson's back this postseason run, I'll take the Eagles. I'll take the Eagles here. I'll back down on my stance and say that the Eagles do win a playoff game. But that being said, if they lose this game, I'm going back to my preseason predictions and I'm clipping out me basically calling their entire season in one sentence. But I'll take the Eagles at home. I do think that actually does play an impact here, especially in a Dallas-Philly divisional game. I think home field advantage is just, I think it actually does play a factor there. Jalen Hurts hopefully got the rust knocked off this past weekend, then gets a week to get back to 100%. Hopefully Lane Johnson's playing as well. Again, there's a lot of different injuries to monitor for Philadelphia, so it's hard to project 2 weeks out. But I'll take the Eagles at home. I do want to say, I've been saying the Eagles are the Cardinals of last year, the last unbeaten team. They start 7-0 and then they lose in the first round. They're the Steelers of 2 years ago, but for this year, and the Steelers start 11-0. They finish 12-4. They lose in the first round. This Eagles team is better than those two teams, without a doubt. So while I have said that, I do think this Philadelphia team is better than those two other squads. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now let's move on to the conference championships. And my God, have I just approached this as chalky as can be. 1-2 on both sides. I'll take the Bills winning in, or not in Arrowhead, actually. So if we did get this would be a neutral site matchup, which Arrowhead's one of the few places in the league to me that has a distinct home field advantage. So that's a big win there for the Bills this past Sunday, taking off the Pats and forcing this to be a neutral site game. I'll take the Bills. They beat them once this season. I mean, it's a coin toss, really it is, because both quarterbacks, as much as I can sing the praises of Josh Allen, the big arm and his mobile ability, Patrick Mahomes can do the same stuff. This is going to come down to whose receivers make more plays, really. Like, if Stephon Diggs gets locked up, I do have some concerns about who that secondary player to step up for Buffalo is going to be. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, it's like, yeah, there's only so much you can do to limit Kelsey, but even if you take him away, you have Juju, you have MVS, you have Kadarius Toney as this awesome satellite weapon, you have Sky Moore, you have Jerick McKinnon out of the backfield. Like, just feels like the next man up. If you're going to go that route, Kansas City's definitely the pick here. I'm just going to go with the Bills. And I do feel a little bit better, even though their defense and their secondary in specific has been tested with depth. Getting Trey White back when they did has been huge. He got a pick this past weekend. And I'll say there's just enough there defensively to give Buffalo the edge and give them the win here. Then flipping over to the NFC side, I'm going to take San Francisco over Philadelphia. Not to say Philadelphia couldn't win this game. Of course, they totally could. And this is a really interesting matchup from the perspective of like that 49ers pass rush, if it's on, versus the Eagles offensive line. That could be an awesome, unit-to-unit battle. And that being said, the 49ers secondary isn't necessarily the strength of their team. So A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, could they get enough plays through the air? Certainly. And if you're a Philadelphia fan, I think that is the way you win this game. Getting the ball out quick, letting, A.J. Brown be a tank after the catch, and, scheming up Devonta Smith, let him work the sideline like he can. And then you're going to have to utilize Jalen Hurts' legs, I think, in this game too, if this were, the NFC Championship game. Then on the other side, that Philadelphia defense is still a really good unit. So, where I look at, San Francisco and Minnesota, I'm like, there's a clear, distinct advantage for defensive comparison. I still think San Francisco is probably the best defense in the league right now, but Philadelphia is not far behind, especially when that coverage unit's at 100%. So I'll take San Francisco, but then both these divisional or this conference championship games are true coin tosses. But I'm going to take the 2 seed in both these. What is with me being so symmetrical? And that brings us to our Super Bowl. Buffalo and San Francisco. This would be an awesome game. This totally could be a Kansas City, San Francisco rematch. I'd be entertained by Buffalo, Philadelphia. I'd be entertained by Kansas City, Philadelphia. So any of the potential matchups you can get out of my conference championships, I'd be happy to see that potentially be the Super Bowl. I'm taking the Bills. As stated earlier, I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I'm a Steelers fan at heart, but I've been rooting for the Bills pretty hard this year, so maybe my bias is coming through here. But hey, this is my video, this is my YouTube channel, so let me know why I'm wrong down below in the comment section. I'll say Josh Allen wins his first Super Bowl. He's the Super Bowl MVP. Diggs goes crazy. The defense steps up, and I'll say they win the Super Bowl for Damar Hamlin. I know emotional aspects and those types of things don't always make an impact once you're on the field, but I'll say they get the job done for Damar. And man, San Francisco, this would be a really tough blow if this happened for the second time in 4 years, second time in 3 years, where they get to Super Bowl and then lose to Kansas City, now Buffalo. That would suck. But man, like I said, I'd be happy with any of these matchups. So no complaints from me. And, I'm projecting 4 weeks down the line. Who knows what injuries are going to come to arise and who might come back. All those sort of things we have to kind of wait and see. But that's going to do it for my playoff predictions. Tell me what you think. What potential upsets do you think could be in the mix? How do you think the wild card plays out this upcoming weekend? And ultimately, let me know who you have winning the Super Bowl. And give me a final score prediction. I'd love to hear it. If it's Bills 49ers, give me 24-20 Bills over San Francisco. That'll be my official score prediction to go with it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit the like button if you did. If you want more football content in your life, just hit that big red subscribe button. But that is going to do it for today's video. Until next time, my name is Tej, and I'm signing off.